fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class G1 Universe Optimus Prime from the Transformers Legacy United line from Hasbro. You can tell I got mine from Amazon because the box is a little worse for wear, but ultimately still intact. This figure is basically based on the original G1 toy. I feel like this is Hasbro's budget answer to the Missing Link series that Takara has been doing. So they wanted to do something with more articulation that kind of resembles the original toy, but instead of making it die-cast metal and actually be the original toy with new articulation, they just kind of made something brand new. We'll definitely do a comparison a little bit later on in the video with Missing Link to show off the differences and everything. But standard Legacy packaging, still have the little open window, although I heard that's going away with the next series. Some nice artwork of the vehicle mode, the cab here on the front, and I really do like the artwork here on the side. Something about those yellow eyes, it's just really fun. Like, I definitely, for an anime-accurate Prime, I want the blue eyes, but every once in a while to get that toy-accurate yellow eyes, I think is actually really cool. Over here on the side, you got your standard half of the Legacy United pick. Not too much going on the bottom there. Over here on the back, we have some nice product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. So, looks pretty sharp. I'm actually excited to check this one out. I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here he is out of the packaging. The first thing I will say is he feels kind of tiny. He's probably not the smallest Deluxe we've ever gotten, but he does feel a little small. Just for a couple other Deluxes we've gotten recently, here is Emirate Zarin. So, okay, they're about the same size. Here's Cannonball, which I feel like feels a little bigger. And then here is Studio Series Rise of the Beast Air Razor. So, I mean, I guess he's about the same size as most Deluxes, but just in general feels kind of tiny, which is surprising. The other bummer about this guy is that the plastic feels kind of cheap. Hollow in spots. He's a little flimsy. Doesn't hold together the best in vehicle mode, and we'll get into all that. But if you just want a cool little like G1 looking Optimus, I think aesthetically in robot mode he looks pretty good. I think the head sculpt looks great. You know, those big yellow eyes, I think they really nailed it there. The darker blue I think looks good. The silver paint on the head looks good as well. Got a nice Autobot symbol there on the shoulder. Painting here for the silver stripe and the grille and the bumper all looks pretty good. Does come with a matrix that you can pop inside. It is purely translucent blue. So if we pop that out, there's no way for him to hold it. The hands do not open up or anything like that, but he does have one. You can see the inside there without it, and then we just pop it back in. Holds pretty snugly, so I do appreciate that. So articulation-wise, the head is on a ball joint. Can look up slightly, look down slightly, spin side to side, tilt side to side a little bit. You do have a swivel and a hinge here in the shoulder. Pretty good range of motion there, and you can move the smokestacks around, although I don't know why you would want to. You have bicep swivel, 90 degrees there in the elbow. Nothing in the wrist because of the way it transforms. You can lift up the little skirt here and bring these pieces out to the side. He does have a waist swivel. Pretty good kick forward, pretty good kick back. Kick out to the side is really just how much you can get all these other pieces out of the way, but pretty decent. Thigh swivels are a little loose on mine, especially on this leg, and it might just be maybe it's not pushed in all the way, but I think it is. But either way, they're kind of loose, which is a bummer. Bring these all back down. Good knee joint, no problems there. You can see this piece on the inside here, which gives you your ankle tilt, as well as a rotation. It's a little tight on this one. This one's a little bit better. And then, of course, you do have movement in the toe because of the transformation. So I feel like the articulation's there. I don't really have a problem with the articulation whatsoever. You can get some good poses and whatnot. Accessory-wise, of course, gotta have the axe. You can't ever escape this thing. Just pegs into the hand. No issue there. Looks fine. No problem with that. He also comes with two blasters, so we have kind of a straightforward, very original toy accurate basic version of the blaster, and then we have kind of a more souped up, you know, better version, you know, just more powerful looking blaster. Same basic design. I don't really know why both of these were needed. Maybe they just felt like they needed to put a little bit more value into this because he is kind of small. So they gave us 2 versions of the blaster. They're both fine, honestly. I don't have a problem with either one. And they can peg into the hands very simply. If you want, he can dual wield. Pop both of these in here. Personally, I kind of like the more basic toy accurate one. That's just me. But they're both perfectly good. But yeah, overall, like I said, aesthetically, I like the look of him. Of course, we have to bring in the GOAT. Here is Missing Link Convoy. So you can see right off the bat, Missing Link Convoy is definitely bigger. Now again, there is a large price disparity here. This, with the trailer, I think was around 100. And this is, of course, 25. Now, if you take the trailer out of it, maybe he's more like 50, 60. I don't know. I don't know what it costs to make that trailer. Probably not a lot. But this guy's also, you know, mostly die-cast metal. Feels weighty. He does have opening hands, which this version does not have. But just so you can kind of see them next to each other, just to give you an idea. This is definitely the budget version of this, because I mean that's exactly what they're going for here. This was so ridiculously popular. Hasbro wanted to get in on it. And again, if you can't afford this, I totally get it. You know, this is a decent, cheaper version to give you kind of the same effect. But this is definitely the better toy. I mean, this has all the inlaid, painted detail. You get an Autobot sticker on both sides. And I think that is a sticker. I'm not 100% sure. It might be painted, but only one on. This one is painted, though, 100% over here. But again, you have chrome over here. This guy doesn't have any chrome. Again, the die-cast metal. He still has the matrix. If we pop this open, very nicely chromed out. Looks very sharp. So, just to put them a little side by side, I would say articulation is pretty much on par between the two. It does feel like, you know, Hasbro stole Takara's homework a little bit. On the back, they did put in like a closed section here, which they didn't bother to do over here because they're going for original toy accuracy. But pretty much all of the articulation points are pretty much the same, with the exception of the opening hands that this guy doesn't have. But yeah, I knew people would ask, so I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison with them. Okay, so transformation. Very first step of the transformation, and it already scared me. So there is a little hinge right here, and they want you to take this piece here and bring this back. But if you just kind of grab this and just kind of pull, something is going to snap off because the joint is ridiculously tight. So you kind of have to grab down here and make sure you're putting the force where it belongs. And you'll hear it click, and it still almost sounds like it's breaking. But that hinge in the arm there is ridiculously tight, and you can see how small it is. I feel like it's only a matter of time before that thing snaps off while you're trying to transform it. But once you do that, you spin this around to conceal the fist, and then it has to go back up. So I don't know why that's so tight. I mean, maybe they were afraid it would droop if it wasn't. But just because of how small and thin everything is there, it really worries me. So you really just, because when I was first trying to transform it, I'm like pulling this back and I can't tell what's happening, and it felt like something wanted to break. So I would say, you know, really try to move it down there where, like, put the pressure at the right spot. But again, anyway, you're going to swivel this around, and then this goes back up. And I mean, it's a smart way to do it. I don't have a problem with how they did it. I think it works. It's just that feels really fragile. Next, you're going to open up this big backpack piece, and you're going to just rotate the head inside. I mean, honestly, you can probably guess most of these steps. It's an original G1-esque Optimus Prime. I like to move this stuff out of the way just for now. Now, they want you to straighten out the legs. If you have the ankle tilt engaged, do all that. And they want you to peg the legs together. And I really had some difficulty with this because the thighs are so loose, when you try to peg these together, because they're kind of tight, it ends up just kind of engaging the swivel of the thigh, and it disengages the connectivity. So it's really kind of a pain in the butt. I tend to kind of go for the bottom. If you click these in, they tend to click in a little bit better, and then this will just kind of follow suit and go along with it. But the connection down here at the feet is actually what holds it together. And then It tells you to wait to do this, but you can just go ahead and do it now. Flip the toes up. It doesn't matter. You know it's going to happen. So at this point, you can bring these back, kind of leave them about here. Make sure you kind of put the wheel down so it's out of the way, and then just like pretty much every Optimus Prime you've ever had, you pop the arms back, you tuck the arms underneath. Nothing new there. So bring this back, tuck this up, bring this in, make sure the wheel's out of the way. Then you want to kind of make sure the wheels are down, and then you can see the 2 tabs here will fit into these spots. So this comes down, just kind of peg this all in. Then you can finish bringing the legs up. And then there's the tiniest little indent tab right there on the drum that just fits into that little spot. So just make sure that's lined up. But you can kind of see, like, these don't want to connect in 100%. These don't really like to stay in. They kind of pop out. And maybe I'm doing something wrong. It's very possible. You know, maybe there's a tab or something I'm missing. But, I mean, if I kind of really push it together, it gets a little better. But like I said, it feels... I don't want to say, like, the plastic feels cheap. Because it doesn't necessarily... Like, in some spots it does. Like, especially this kind of backpack area here. This plastic feels a little cheap. So, I don't know. It just doesn't impress me as much as I was hoping it would. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want a budget version of the, you know, G1 Optimus feel, this will give it to you. But it just, I don't know. It feels a little flimsy. And I wish it didn't. Now, you can store all of his accessories back here. You can pop this in the trailer hitch, which it's not very snug right now, but you can pop that in the trailer hitch. You can put the 2 guns over here, like so. It would work if I actually had it in frame, probably help. Now, I feel like the last time I did this was a little bit tighter, and I'm not sure why it's not very snug right now, but that's supposed to sit in there like that. There we go. Okay, I just didn't push it down enough. There we go. So that's kind of cool. I appreciate that you can store all of the weapons there. But, because again, I'm sure people will ask, let's zoom out here. First up, we have the Earthrise trailer, which at this point, I can't believe how small it is. This is something I haven't really paid attention to in the last couple years. It's just been on the shelf, and I went back to it today, and I was like, has it always been this small? It just feels so tiny. But it does have a peg, and because there was a peg there, you can peg that into the trailer hitch. It doesn't work the best because it's a little tall, so it kind of falls forward, but it can kind of work if you just want something for this guy. The Earthrise trailer will kind of work. But if you happen to have the Missing Link trailer, which I believe is pretty close to the original, so the original trailer might work as well. This one has a hitch to go over a solid peg, and it will still fit over that entire thing. And so you can use the Missing Link, or I assume original trailer, with this as well. I think it's a little big. I feel like the Earthrise trailer is a little small. I feel like the Missing Link trailer is a little big. I think the Missing Link trailer looks better. It sits flat and fits him a little bit better, but the cab still looks a little small. But it will work. It will move around on there, and so I feel like that the way they did the hitch section is kind of brilliant, because they made it so that the entire diameter would fit in the trailer, because they have 2 different connection points, you know what I mean? So you have a big circle to go over a full-size peg. It works there, but then they also put a hole in the middle of that peg so you can use the Earthrise trailer, since that had a peg instead of a large peg hole, if that makes sense. So they did, I will give them complete credit for that. They made it so that even though they have 2 different connection points or abilities or connection varieties, I don't know what term you want to use there, but you can actually do either one. And I think the Missing Link and like I said, I don't have an original trailer to try out handy, but I assume the Missing Link one is pretty much on par, and this one does work pretty well. And then last thing, I just wanted to show them both in cab mode. So this is Missing Link Convoy, and then this is Hasbro's Optimus. You can see again that they're definitely much different in size, but I wanted to compare them next to each other in cab mode. I mean, they do look very similar. I mean, I think they did a good job of, you know, nailing the design. Just obviously much smaller, no chrome, no metal, but wanted to show that side by side. So at the end of the day, this guy's not bad. I know it doesn't really seem necessarily fair to compare it to Missing Link Convoy because one's a $100 plus toy and this is a $25 toy, but I also feel like the comparison is kind of naturally there because they're both reinterpretations of the original G1 Optimus toy, so it's kind of hard not to compare them, even though it's not necessarily fair, so it's kind of a weird spot. I mean, one has die-cast metal and chrome and is bigger and all that stuff, and this is just a $25 toy. So trying to look at this just on its own, I think it's fine. It definitely gets across the nostalgia of the original G1 toy. I think they did a great job with that. The accessories are nice. You know, I'm over the orange axe, if you guys know me at all, but I think the two versions of the blaster, while not necessarily necessary, was kind of a cool touch because I know there's going to be some people like me that definitely want the more basic retro version of the blaster, and then there's some people who might think that's a little dinky and want something a little bit souped up, so you have the option there, which is kind of cool. Articulation, pretty much on point. Would have been nice if we had something in the wrists, but I get it because of the way it transforms. Also talking about how the wrists transform, that joint just seems really, really tight. I'm hoping it's just a QC thing with mine, along with the kind of loose thigh swivels there. But just be careful the first time you're transforming this. I'm hoping it'll get a little bit looser over time. It already seems like maybe it's starting to, but just, you know, be very careful with that because I feel like pressure applied at the wrong point could definitely snap that off, and that's not something you want. He needs hands. It's kind of a big part of the robot. Head sculpt looks great. Paint applications are pretty good. Like I said, plastic feels a little cheap in some spots, mostly here on the backpack. It just feels like a little bit cheaper quality of plastic. It could just be because it's hollow. Some of the gray pieces feel a little bit flimsier, and I hope this is kind of a weird one-off and not an indication of what's to come. I know they're cutting corners everywhere and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, I didn't actually notice this before, but I think they are they rubber tires? They might be. They feel like they have grip like rubber tires, so that actually might be a big deal. Yeah, I think they might be. So I should have mentioned that earlier, but yeah, like I said, is it going to be as good as Missing Link Convoy? No, of course not. It's a fourth the price. I mean, that's, again, not necessarily fair to directly compare them, but I also felt like people were going to want to see them side by side. I do also really applaud them, the way they did the trailer hitch. They made it so it's compatible with like both types of attachment. You know, the big circle over a larger peg, but also a skinnier peg into the big circle, if that makes sense. I'm not describing it well, but they were able to make it work so that both versions, because they're definitely different connection styles, and both work. And I think that's kind of cool. Now, the Earthrise trailer I don't think necessarily fits that well, but the Missing Link one, or I assume original toy one, will also work. So if you have that, you can use it, which is kind of cool. I'm glad they didn't give this guy his own trailer, because I feel like that would have been too much. In any case, if you're looking for a much cheaper version of something that still evokes the original G1 Optimus toy, I think it's fine. Now, will they probably repaint this thing to death? It wouldn't surprise me. I would say you'll probably see an all-white Ultra Magnus version. I would probably skip that, as that doesn't appeal to me too much. I'm glad to have this. If they make like 3 or 4 of these, I don't think I need all of them. But I think it's good to have one. Your mileage is going to vary. Like I said, if you already have Missing Link Convoy, I don't think you need this. I think you already have the better toy. If you can't afford Missing Link Convoy, I feel like this is a decent, much cheaper alternative. Just know going in, it's a little wonky in spots, but overall, just to put it on your shelf and look cool, I think it gets the job done. I'll stop rambling. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Was it too hard on it? Do you agree? Are you picking this up? I want to hear from you guys, so let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.